Hello and welcome to the Climbing Daily Friday Gear Show. Today we're going to be looking at 4 reasons why you need a sport climbing quick draw. Not all quick draws are the same. In fact, similar to other pieces of gear, they're designed for different aspects of climbing. So you get lightweight trad climbing quick draws all the way up to sport climbing draws that we're going to talk about here today. Now, previously we did a show looking at all-round quick draws. So for you sport climbing fanatics, this one's for you. Now we're going to be talking about a few different examples of sport climbing quick draws today, but I'm mainly going to be focusing on the Singing Rock Colt, and that's because we've got it as an absolute bargain on the shop at the moment. A set of 6 at 11 centimeters is under €100, and you can also get a 17 centimeter set for about €103. I'm going to be mainly concentrating on the 11 centimeter version today because we think that's the size that most of you will buy. Okay, so without further ado, here's 4 reasons why you need sport climbing quick draws. Clipping is probably the most important thing that you need to think about when picking a sport climbing quick draw. I mean, let's be honest, when else in life are you going to be hanging off one hand, desperately trying to pull up a rope and quick your clip draw before you fall? It doesn't happen often, and when you're sport climbing, having something that's designed for that purpose really makes a big psychological and actually physical difference when doing a route. Now, sport climbing quick draws tend to have a solid gate, and that's just because they feel a bit better when you're clipping them. For some reason, having that solid bit of metal that you can push against with the rope is a lot easier than using a wire gate like this. The other problem with wire gates is they often have this little hook at the bottom to catch the wire gate. Now that's a real problem when you're trying to remove the rope, when you're stripping a route, or if you're just trying to clip it in. It can get stuck on that little bit of metal and be a complete pain. So having a solid gate is the better way to go. With a lot of sport climbing draws, on the clipping end you'll see a curve in the gate. Now that's to help you clip. It guides the rope and your finger into the quick draw so you can quickly and easily clip and move on. Now, the size of the curve and the type of curve, that varies between different types of quick draw. You can see with the Colt, it's nice and smooth, but my personal favorite is the DMM Alpha Sport. I really love the aggressive curve of this. It's got slight grooves cut into it to help with grip if you need that, and it feels incredible when you're making that clip. Now, often the type of curve in your gate is down to personal preference, and the more you use, the more you'll know what you like. But do look for that curve, it's important. You'll notice that a lot of sport climbing quick draws have large carabiners on them. And this is different when you're looking at a trad climbing quick draw where the biners tend to be a lot smaller. Why? Well, one of it is weight saving, which we'll chat more about in a minute. But with a trad quick draw, you're usually in a position where you can easily make that clip. You don't need a big carabiner to aim for. But with sport climbing, as we know, hanging off, getting pumped, desperately want to clip, having a big quick draw or carabiner is important. Again, you can see the size of the Alpha Trad, a real big beast, and again with the Colt, a little bit smaller but still a chunky quick draw. You want that big biner for ease and speed of clipping. Often they have these ergonomically designed grooves and cutaways on it. Now, everyone clips differently, although there are some basic methods and ways of doing that. But generally, most methods involve putting a finger inside of the quick draw and then clipping the rope in, or grabbing the quick draw, not pulling on it or holding it, but just grabbing it in your hand and then putting the rope through. So having a big quick draw that you can aim for is very, very useful. You don't want to be faffing around with something small. See it, clip it, move on. At some point in every sport climber's career, we've grabbed the dog bone of a quick draw in order to make a clip when working a route. Why? Well, let's just say that you're super pumped, you're hanging off that crimp and you can't make it, but you don't want to fall off and have to repeat that section. Sometimes grabbing the dog bone, of course, take your fingers out of the way of any of the metal bits in case you catch them, but grabbing the dog bone and making a clip is sometimes the easiest way to do that. Or perhaps you want to work a section. Let's say you're on good holds beneath a hard section. You reach up, you grab it, you clip it, and then you can work it on a top rope. It happens all the time, it's not really frowned upon, and climbing designers know this, so they've tweaked the dog bones of their sport climbing carabiners to reflect that. They tend to be wider than normal dog bones, as you can see on these two examples. They're a little bit more padded, easier to grab and easier to grip in your hand. But there is a difference. And what I found interesting is this is the Fixie Orion, and technically this is a 12 centimeter quick draw and this Colt is an 11 centimeter quick draw. And yet the dog bone on the Colt really fits my hand, whereas on the Orion it kind of doesn't. So different dog bones do make a difference and are different between different carabiners and brands. So what would I do? Well, I'd recommend trying them using your mate, seeing what fits your hands properly and seeing how much of a chunky dog bone you want on your quick draws. As long as you buy your quick draws from a reputable brand, they will be rated for climbing. That means that the Newton rating is strong enough to take your falls on. Now, as long as you look after your gear and you check it regularly, you shouldn't really have to worry about quick draws randomly exploding on you. However, sport climbing quick draws are built with a bit of toughness in them, and that's because they have to be more durable. They spend more times taking bigger falls from climbers. Often they're left in the walls, they swing around, they bang on the rock, and of course, as we discussed earlier, climbers haul on them, so they need to be a bit beefy to withstand that abuse. But with beefiness often comes weight. For example, the Colt is 93 grams for this size version, and a similar size version on a trad draw, so the Petzl Angle Finesse, is only 63 grams, so there is a big difference for that toughness. But weight isn't really as much of a concern when you're sport climbing, especially when you're single pitch sport climbing, because often the quick draws themselves are in the wall when you go for your red point. When they're on your harness, you're usually trying to on-sight something, and that's usually within your grade, so that little tiny bit of extra weight won't really help. But where you need to save weight is on those big multi-pitches or trad stuff where you've got loads of other equipment going on. Sport climbing is more simple and you don't need to look for that extra light gear. And in fact, as discussed, that's going to be less durable. If high at the top of your list of priorities is pure strength, then check out the Climbing Technology Nimble Fix Bar Carabiner. These are rated slightly higher than most quick draws on the market, 25 kilonewtons for the carabiners, which is super strong. So this might be up your street if you're looking to seriously abuse your gear. So there you go, 4 reasons why you need a sport climbing quick draw. But the real question is it too much of a decadence to have such a specialized piece of kit? I mean, really recently I did a show talking about all-round quick draws, and we decided that those do 90% of everything anyway. But it is how specific these are that makes you want to buy them. Let's say that you're red pointing something right at your limit. Having an easy to clip quick draw that's designed for the job in hand does make a big difference to you as a climber, but also psychologically. You're going to have those in the wall and you're going to know that that's not a factor in your failure or success. I do think if you've got some all-round quick draws, if you're looking to be more of a sport climber, then investing in something like this is a good idea. The more specialized your kit is, the better you are going to be at that specialized form of climbing. It just makes sense. It just depends on how much money you really want to spend, but for that Colt deal, under 100 euros for 6, that is a very good price. So I would recommend looking at this, but my all-time favorite has got to be the DMM Alpha Sport. I love this thing. It's just something really beautiful about this quick draw. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think by commenting below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.